Have you ever dreamed your landscape could maintain itself? Picture stepping outdoors one dawn following gentle precipitation, zero invasive plants, zero parched earth, zero heaps of aged organic matter to remove. Simply a verdant living blanket of foliage that shields your specimens, nourishes your ground, and saturates the atmosphere with the soft buzz of existence. What if I revealed that you could accomplish all of this by merely distributing 2 varieties of seeds and never stressing about mulching again? For decades, cultivators have assumed that mulching was the key to a thriving landscape. But the natural world had a superior strategy all along. There's a living substitute that's simpler, more economical, and far more stunning than anything that arrives in packaging. And today, I'm going to demonstrate exactly what it is. Welcome to Ageless Gardeners, where we allow the natural world to do the heavy lifting, and we simply savor the outcomes. If you appreciate discovering how to cultivate more with reduced exertion, how to establish beauty that endures through every cycle, then make sure you're subscribed. Give this video a thumbs up, and let's explore the 2 seeds that can substitute mulch permanently. For generations, cultivators have been instructed that mulching is the golden benchmark of earth care. We distribute bark fragments, hay, or decomposed foliage, believing we're safeguarding our specimens. But reality is, mulch isn't always the ally we assume it to be. Beneath that dense covering, something occurs that most individuals never observe. The earth can't respire. The microorganisms that maintain it vital begin to asphyxiate. And gradually, the very element we employ to shield our landscapes begins to deprive them instead. When mulch decomposes, it extracts nitrogen from the earth, the precise nutrient your specimens require most to develop robust and verdant. Instead of nourishing the roots, it nourishes itself. The outcome, slower expansion, yellowing foliage in a landscape that seems perpetually famished no matter how much fertilizer you introduce. Then arrive the nuisances. Mulch furnishes the ideal concealment for slugs, earwigs, and even termites. It captures moisture in all the incorrect locations, converting your cultivation beds into a spawning ground for decay and affliction. And when summer warmth arrives, that same mulch covering can secure in excessive heat, baking delicate roots below the plane. And naturally, the largest difficulty of all, it never concludes. Mulch decomposes, disperses away, and requires replacement every cycle. It's costly, it's labor-intensive, and it converts gardening into a task instead of the serene natural encounter it's intended to be. But the natural world has always possessed a superior answer. In the wilderness, nobody distributes mulch. Forest grounds and meadows remain fertile, damp, and shielded all on their own. How? Through a living covering of specimens that collaborate together, nourishing the earth, obstructing invasive plants, and sheltering the roots beneath them. This is the natural world's original mulch. Alive, self-replenishing, and endlessly stunning. And the optimal part, you can recreate that same natural arrangement right in your backyard. All it requires are 2 simple seeds. Take a stroll through any woodland and you'll observe something remarkable. The ground is never exposed. It's always blanketed with existence. A tapestry of specimens, moss, and foliage collaborating together in perfect equilibrium. Nobody distributes wood fragments. Nobody lays hay. Yet the earth beneath is dark, abundant, and full of vitality. That's because the natural world invented its own adaptation of mulch, a living one. Living mulch is precisely what it suggests. Specimens that function as a natural barrier for your earth. They maintain the ground cool in summer, warm in winter, and damp all year long. Their roots interweave together like a mesh, grasping the earth in position and preventing washout. Above the plain, their foliage obstruct invasive plants from ever establishing hold. And when those foliage die back, they decompose right where they descend, nourishing the earth with organic substance. No hauling, no replacement, no disorder. But the genuine enchantment occurs underground. Living mulch specimens are constantly laboring, exchanging nutrients with the earth. Some, like clovers and legumes, capture nitrogen from the atmosphere and convert it into nourishment that your vegetables, flowers, and fruit trees can utilize. Others dispatch roots deep below the plain, fragmenting hard earth and enhancing drainage naturally. Together they establish a living cycle, one that never ceases contributing back. This arrangement doesn't just shield the earth, it converts it. The longer it develops, the more vital your landscape becomes. Earthworms reappear, beneficial microbes multiply, and suddenly your specimens don't just survive, they flourish. Water remains where it should, invasive plants disappear, and you discover yourself executing less labor while your landscape accomplishes more on its own. And the optimal part, you don't require dozens of varieties to make this occur. There are 2 specimens that accomplish this task superior than any mulch, any compost, and any synthetic fertilizer. 2 simple seeds that once distributed establish the same self-sustaining arrangement the natural world perfected thousands of years ago. Let's commence with the first one, the seed that constructs the earth from the ground up. Seed number 1, the soil builder. Meet the silent champion of the landscape, white clover. Small, unassuming, and often disregarded as a simple invasive plant. Yet, it's one of the natural world's most potent earth builders. Once you comprehend what it accomplishes beneath the plain, you'll never regard it the same way again. White clover forms a soft living blanket that embraces the ground and shields your earth from the sun's severe rays. It distributes quickly, occupying bare spots where invasive plants would normally establish root. But its authentic power resides underground in the tiny nodules that develop along its roots. These nodules are residents to special bacteria that seize nitrogen from the atmosphere and transform it into a form your specimens can absorb. While mulch simply rests on top of the earth, clover actively nourishes it. Every leaf, every root is a slow discharge of fertility that enriches your entire cultivation bed. The conversion is remarkable. Specimens developing alongside white clover become more verdant, more robust, and more resilient. Vegetables like tomatoes, peppers, and squash suddenly commence producing more vibrant foliage and larger harvests. Not because of introduced fertilizer, but because the earth itself has become more abundant and more vital. Clover converts what was once lifeless dirt into a living ecosystem, teeming with earthworms and beneficial microbes. Establishing it is beautifully simple. Distribute the seeds across bare earth in early spring or autumn. Water lightly, and allow the natural world to handle the remainder. In about a week, tiny verdant foliage will begin to appear, and within a few months, you'll possess a thick self-renewing mat of clover that maintains your landscape shielded all year long. Once established, it reseeds itself naturally. No requirement to replant, no requirement to substitute. White clover also assists with moisture regulation. It shades the earth to diminish evaporation, maintaining your specimens hydrated even through hot, arid spells. And when it precipitates, its dense roots grasp the ground together, preventing runoff and washout. Many cultivators observe something else. The sound of bees. Clover attracts pollinators like no other ground covering. Its small white blooms invite existence back into the landscape, ensuring your fruits and flowers possess everything they require to flourish. In one developing cycle, white clover can substitute an entire truckload of mulch. It's a living blanket that nourishes, shields, and renews the earth below. This is the natural world's silent genius at labor, and it's only the first half of the secret. Because the second seed doesn't just nourish the earth, it defends it. Seed number 2, the weed warrior. Now that you've met the earth builder, it's moment to meet its perfect companion, creeping thyme. A specimen so stunning, so fragrant, and so potent that it doesn't just blanket your earth, it shields it. Creeping thyme is the natural world's armor. A living barrier that obstructs invasive plants, deters nuisances, and introduces a touch of color and scent no mulch could ever furnish. This tiny trailing herb forms a dense mat of verdant foliage that remains low to the ground, embracing the earth like a protective blanket. When it blooms, your landscape converts into a soft blanket of purple and pink flowers that buzz with pollinators. Bees adore it, butterflies visit it, and even the hum of existence it brings seems to introduce vitality to your space. But beneath its delicate appearance resides serious strength. Creeping thyme is drought-tolerant, nuisance-resistant, and virtually indestructible once it's established. What renders it so potent is its natural capability to outcompete invasive plants. Its thick root arrangement distributes quickly, leaving zero room for unwanted specimens to establish hold. And the aromatic oils that grant thyme its famous scent also labor as a natural nuisance deterrent. Ants, mosquitoes, and even deer prefer to remain far away. Every step you establish across it releases more of that earthy herbal fragrance. A scent that declares this landscape maintains care of itself. Creeping thyme is also a perennial, which signifies it reappears year after year without replanting. It adores full sun, flourishes in poor earth, and requests for almost nothing in return. You can distribute the seeds over loosened earth, press them gently into position, and maintain them damp for a couple of weeks. Once they sprout, you'll possess a living mulch that never requires replacement and never diminishes with the cycles. It's especially stunning when established between stepping stones, under fruit trees, or around elevated cultivation beds. The more it distributes, the more it converts your landscape into a location that seems timeless. A location where the natural world and nurture are perfectly equilibrated. And here's the optimal part. When you combine creeping thyme with white clover, you establish the ultimate partnership. One specimen constructing and nourishing the earth from beneath, the other shielding it from above. Together, they form a living ecosystem that accomplishes what mulch never could. Let's examine how to bring these two potent specimens together to establish a landscape that maintains itself. Bringing them together. Now that you comprehend the secret power behind white clover and creeping thyme, let's bring them together. When established side by side, these two humble specimens establish a living arrangement that labors in harmony, one nourishing the earth, the other defending it. The outcome is a self-sustaining landscape floor that remains verdant, fertile, and shielded through every cycle. Commence by preparing your cultivation bed. Clear away any aged mulch, invasive plants, or debris so the seeds can make direct contact with the earth. You don't require to till deeply. Just loosen the top few inches so atmosphere and moisture can move freely. Then mix your two seeds together. A simple ratio labors optimal. 1 part white clover seed to 1 part creeping thyme seed. This equilibrium allows the clover to distribute evenly, while the thyme forms a fragrant barrier across the plain. Distribute the mixture gently across the earth. Regard it as seasoning the earth. Light, even, and natural. Don't bury the seeds. They require sunlight to germinate. A light press with your hand or the back of a rake is enough to assist them settle. Then grant the area a soft mist of water every day until you commence to observe sprouts. Within a week, small clover foliage and delicate thyme shoots will begin to emerge, painting your cultivation bed in shades of verdant. As they develop, you'll observe how beautifully they complement each other. The clover's deep, verdant foliage enrich the earth below, capturing nitrogen and enhancing fertility. Meanwhile, the thyme distributes across the plain, maintaining invasive plants out and releasing its calming scent whenever the wind moves through it. Together, they regulate temperature, retain moisture, and attract beneficial insects, bees, butterflies, and even predatory bugs that maintain nuisances under regulation. Maintenance couldn't be simpler. Once established, these specimens largely maintain care of themselves. A light trimming once or twice a year maintains everything tidy and encourages fresh expansion. In arid spells, their intertwined roots secure in water, diminishing the requirement for constant watering. Through precipitation, drought, or cold, they stand robust, continuing their silent labor of healing and shielding the earth. Gradually, this living covering becomes a complete ecosystem. You'll observe your landscape experiencing different, more vibrant, more vital. The earth develops more abundant. The specimens regard healthier, and the requirement for mulch fertilizers or constant weeding simply diminishes away. By combining white clover and creeping thyme, you're not just preserving exertion. You're establishing equilibrium. You're constructing a landscape that flourishes by the same principles that maintain forests and meadows flourishing without human assistance. This is the natural world's design. Simple, enduring, and timeless. Next, let's regard at what occurs when your landscape begins to convert. When the earth, specimens, and existence beneath it commence laboring together as one. The transformation. When you step into a landscape that maintains care of itself, you can experience the distinction instantly. The atmosphere experiences softer, the earth cooler beneath your feet. Every specimen seems more robust, more confident, as if it's discovered its rhythm with the earth. The hum of bees substitutes the buzz of cultivation tools. And you realize this isn't just a landscape anymore. It's an ecosystem. The moment you cease fighting the natural world and commence laboring with it, everything begins to alter. Your earth, once arid and lifeless, becomes abundant and full of movement. The roots of clover and thyme interweave together, forming a living network that grasps water, captures nutrients, and maintains the earth vital. Precipitation doesn't run off anymore. It penetrates in. Invasive plants don't invade. They're obstructed by a blanket of verdant. Even nuisances, once a constant struggle, begin to equilibrate out as beneficial insects discover a residence among the blooms. This conversion doesn't occur overnight, but when it accomplishes, it experiences almost enchanting. You commence to regard your landscape not as something to regulate, but something to nurture, a space that develops in harmony with the cycles. You expend less duration tending and more duration admiring. You watch flowers bloom earlier, vegetables flourish longer, and earth remains soft even through arid months. And beyond all the beauty, there's something deeply serene about comprehending you've constructed this equilibrium with your own hands. Not by introducing more, but by releasing go. By trusting two tiny seeds to accomplish what the natural world designed them to accomplish. This is the future of gardening. One that's sustainable, effortless, and vital. A future where your landscape becomes its own caretaker, flourishing year after year without endless bags of mulch or hours of labor. Just existence renewing itself again and again. So the next occasion you regard at that bare patch of earth or regard about distributing another covering of mulch, remember this: the natural world already granted us the answer. All you must accomplish is distribute 2 small seeds and allow the landscape demonstrate you what it can accomplish. So there you possess it. The 2 seeds that can substitute mulch permanently. White clover, the earth builder, and creeping thyme, the invasive plant warrior. Together, they convert your landscape into a living, self-sustaining masterpiece that nourishes itself, shields itself, and develops more stunning with duration. If you're ready to cease fighting your landscape and commence developing with the natural world, grant this video a thumbs up and share it with a fellow cultivator who requires to hear this. Don't forget to subscribe to Ageless Gardeners for more simple natural approaches to establish beauty that endures through every cycle. Until next occasion, step outside, breathe deep, and remember, the optimal landscapes aren't constructed by hard labor alone. They're constructed by harmony with the natural world.